So this is a quick introduction to your Dimplex quantum heating system, a general how-to of what to look out for and if there's any problems with your heating. When looking at your heating system, the first thing you want to look out for is to make sure that there is mains powers to the unit. Each of your quantum heating systems will have two initial switches. They will either be either side of the heater or they will be on one side. What we want to do is energize the heater by pressing both switches on, by clicking it there and there. That will then energize the heater and allow you to have control over the heating system. Your switches also might look like this, where you have two blocks together. It's important to remember that both switches need to be on for the heater to operate, and when you no longer want the heater to work, we simply just turn both switches off. So generally how these work is that with both switches energized, the heater will now take a charge overnight. The rightmost switch controls the off-peak charge, which basically means that at night the heaters will heat up the three elements that sit inside the heater. Those elements are condensed between a layer of bricks, which holds the heat, and then using this switch, which controls the fan output at the bottom, will then push out the hot air throughout the day. It's important to remember with these that unlike your old night storage heaters, these ones will not be red hot to the touch. This is because it's designed to try and keep as much heat in there as possible. So it allows you to have a longer storage of heat by pushing it out at the bottom grills here. When the heater is running, there is a fan that pushes the heat out at the bottom grill, and you can hear it running. It will cut in and out depending on the room temperature. It's very important to remember with these that you do not obstruct the bottom grill here where the heat is pushed out. Old heaters used to push out heat from the top here, so we advise that you don't put anything more than 30 centimeters, or a general rule of thumb is 1 foot from the grill. So anything like sofas or any large equipment like units, we advise you not to put them in front of them. When initially turning on your heater, it will carry out a power sequence and a self-test. This will happen every time the heater is turned on. When your quantum heater is on, it will show three displays, which is the heater setting, the temperature, and whether the heating is on or off. In this mode, you are able to amend the heating, the temperature of the heater by moving the dial either clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on obviously your preference. At the moment it's set to home all day and that the heating is on. If we need to change this setting, it's very simple. We go to the menu button here. We move down to modes, which is the second option. So turn the dial and press it in. Again, in modes, we want to select timer mode. And within this option, you have three major options to choose from. Out all day is an option which is used where you are out of the house all day and you would want heating first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Home all day is pretty much the reverse of that, where it is constant heat from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 9 o'clock at night. And then lastly, you have user timer. User timer is a nice middle ground where it offers up 4 different types of heating throughout the day, so it gives you a balance of all of them. If you want to select this option, press the button in. You have select, modify, and preview. Selecting will initiate that program. You can modify the heating by using that one, or if you just wanted to preview what type of temperature and what time the heating comes on, you can click on that, and it will then show you the periods that it comes on, what time it goes on and off, and the temperature as well. If any of those options want to be amended, you can do so by going into the modify setting and modifying the time on, the time off, and the temperature. Once you are happy, you can then select this option by pressing the middle turn dial in, and it will select that option. If you're in a situation where you need the heat now, so you need the heat brought forward, or you don't fancy having the heat right this time now, you can use the advanced button at the top here. When it is in this mode and you can't see the temperature in the center, it will not allow you to use the dial feature. Nothing will happen. Once the advanced button has been pressed, it will bring that charge time to the moment that you've selected it. It will give you the current temperature, and then from here you can amend the temperature by scrolling the turn dial either upwards to the desired temperature or downwards as well. It's important to remember that the higher the temperature that you select, the quicker it will burn through its charge, and obviously the lower the temperature, the more heat will be stored for later on. If insufficient heat has been pushed out and you want an additional boost from the heater, we select the menu button and then the boost feature by pressing the turn dial in. It will ask you what temperature you want it to be selected at. So if we want to select it at 23, we turn the turn dial to 23, press the button in, and then it allows you to select from 30 minutes all the way up to 4 hours. After the 4 hours, it will cut itself out automatically. Press the button again, and the boost has been selected. It's important to remember with this boost feature that it operates off of the bottom element, which is operated through the 24-hour day rate supply. So it is a more expensive option to heat the room, but it does give you an additional boost if needed. If you no longer need the boost, you can press the back button and it will give you the option to cancel the boost by either pressing yes or no. By pressing yes, it will then cancel that boost feature, which will shut off the bottom element, and it will just go back to the regular charge time at night and then pushing out heat during the day. It's important to remember with the quantum storage heaters that they have two sources of supplies. In your property, you'll have two consumer units. They might not always look like this, but they operate in exactly the same way. Your bigger of the two units will be your 24-hour day rate, which means that this will constantly supply the heaters, enabling them to be altered for any different types of charge times. And your second unit will be your off-peak, how they charge up overnight and where they take the bulk of the electricity. Both switches and both breakers will need to be on. If you were to go to your heaters and change the settings during the day and the dial is not working and both switches are on, it's more than likely that a breaker has been tripped. You can re-energize this circuit safely by flicking the breaker upwards, which then re-energizes it. If you go to re-energize the circuit by pressing the breaker upwards and it immediately flicks back down, that indicates that there is a problem with the circuit, so we advise that you contact ABRI immediately. It's important to remember that all of these breakers will need to be on the on position by flicking them upwards. If any of the breakers do not stay upwards and will not be energized, then please contact ABRI immediately. If you still have no heat coming out of your heaters, all of your switches are turned on, including all of your breakers, it might be a problem with your main meter outside of your property. There's a few things to check, which I will just run through. Important thing to remember with this, with your night storage heaters, is that you need a dual rate supply on your meter. The way that you can check this by using the two buttons here, A and B, is if you press the A button, we are looking for rate 1, which is your 24-hour supply. Pressing it again enables you to look at your rate 2, which is your off-peak supply. If this either comes out at 0 or there is no option to see for rate 2, it indicates that you do not have a dual rate at your property or an economy 7 tariff, and you need to contact your energy supplier immediately.